You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Mike, what's going on, man? Got a quick Labor Day story, so I want to get right into it because, we got a guest waiting, and but I feel like this is kind of a good story. So
I always love a Rob story.
Well, I mean, it's not really it's just more of a bowling story more than it is actually a golf story. But anyway, here's the story. Labor Day weekend, I went down to visit my dad in Southern California, and my dad likes to golf. So we went to the driving range, and it's in SoCal. It's beautiful. It's in Glendale, California, which is close to Burbank. It's a driving range. It's up in the hills. It's a beautiful place. And it's literally in the afternoon on a Saturday at 3 p.m. And we're just hitting golf balls. And I look around and I see the place is packed. I mean, packed to the gills. So I'm just looking around and I see all these people that are getting taught golf by all kinds of different people, trying to get better and craft their skill. And these people are hitting the ball all over the place, just terrible golfers, but they're really trying to learn, right? And trying to get better. And if you walked into a bowling alley at Saturday at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., the place is going to be, it'll be busy, but it'll all be casual bowlers, right? Open bowling, not really, having a good time. But how many bowlers would you see at that bowling center, Mike, that were actually getting coached and trying to get better in let's just say a 36-lane house on a Saturday at 3 p.m.? It's not comparable, right? Because to me, it was almost eye-opening. This is the reason why golf is so much more of has so much more integrity in their sport, because it's such a hard sport to play and people are always trying to get better. Bowling, everybody is already averaging 220 on their house shot. Nobody really wants to get better. Nobody's putting in the money to get lessons, to continue their education in their, of trying to be a better bowler. The handicap system, and it just all this kind of hit me at one time, and it kind of got a little bit overwhelming. But anyway, had a good time. Anyway, that's kind of where that's my opening. I came out on fire, Mike.
Man, you're coming out of the gate with unprepared hot takes, son. I don't even know where I'm supposed to take that.
What do you mean unprepared hot? What do you mean unprepared? I've been prepared.
I mean, I'm unprepared. You didn't tell me, I'm coming out scorching with something. So listen, we have to back burner that thought. I'll come back to that story. I feel like Rob, there's a lot of connections between that story and recent bowling experiences that I've had. So plenty to talk about. Welcome to everybody. As Rob said, we do have a guest tonight. And man, you want to talk about off the beaten path for us, Rob, very off the beaten path, right? Neither you, I don't think anyone who knows either of us would ever predict that you would catch us with a fishing rod in our hands at all. But we're actually welcoming on a professional angler tonight. His name is Mike Iaconelli. First and foremost, I want to say he's a Philly guy. So everybody here at Sweep the Rack, treat him with much respect, or you're going to have to deal with things 215 style over here. Okay. In fact, when I hit him up to see if he would come on, his I believe it's his wife / manager, wrote back to me and was like, "Well, you got to be good people because you got a 215 area code phone number." I said, "You're damn right. I'm Philly as they come." So we welcome him in that way. Rob, we love social media game in the bowling world. This gentleman has 400,000 Instagram followers, 80,000 followers on Twitter. So extremely strong social media following that he's built up over his years as a professional angler. He actually has a new show out called My World. It's on CBS Sports Network, where we often see some bowling. So there's definitely a connection there. And really the reason that we're bringing him on here in a second is because one of his guests on his show, and I'm going to let him explain the details of the show, is actually going to be Kyle Troop. So we're going to talk a lot about that tonight and the connection there. He's the only angler to win the Bassmaster Classic, the Bassmaster Angler of the Year, and the BASS National Championship. We go in a different direction, but we welcome him on. Ike, welcome to Sweep the Rack.
What's up, guys? How you doing tonight? Thanks for having me on.
I'm wonderful. It's 2 Philly guys and 1 Brooklyn guy tonight, so I'm having a
Let's go
wonderful night
Mets.
tonight over here.
Let's go Mets.
Yeah,
Guys-
please play
guys-
that somewhere else.
Guys in the Northeast got to stick together. You know what I mean? You got to stick together. And I appreciate you having me on. This is the first bowling show podcast I've ever done in my life. And I'm glad I'm doing it with you guys tonight. That's awesome.
No doubt. Well, there's recent connection between the bowling community and the fishing community, and that's because, as I just said, you have a new show on CBS Sports Network called My World. And I'll let you give our fans here and some of the bowlers here the lowdown on what the details are.
Yeah, it's a really cool show, and I've been part of a few TV shows in my career, and this one is special. And basically, the show revolves around me with professional athletes in all different sports, from top mainstream sports to small niche sports, and I've got to jump into their world for a day, and I have to learn their sport. And that part of it's been fun. It's been challenging. I've had a lot of fun, experiencing their world for a day. But the second part of the show is I get to bring them into my world, which is fishing, and we get some really amazing fishing trips with athletes that some have fished a lot in their life, and some like Kyle that are kind of new to fishing and have fished very little. So it's a really cool show. And I think it's, in today's world, where there's a lot of negative around, right? It's crazy times. I hope this show is a little entertaining for people, and I hope they have fun watching it.
Okay, excellent rundown. It's my understanding that you have had 2 other television shows. One was called Fish My City. The
Yes.
other one was City Limits Fishing. But to my understanding, those shows were something that networks brought to you, whereas this new endeavor that you have has kind of been something that you've created from scratch. Am I right there?
Yeah. And in the TV world, it's a little fickle. And on the last 2 shows, I was basically hired for talent. On this one, we've really put our heart and soul into it. We own the project. We created it. We developed it. We produce it. We shoot it. We find the talent. So it's been a different concept. And one of the goals of this show is to bring fishing people, different athletes from different sports, and to bring different sports the other way, right? So, everyone knows, baseball and football, right? Very iconic mainstream sports. But some of these more niche sports like fishing is, like bowling is, they're very comparable, right? We're not at that top level. Man, what a great way to intermingle the fan base and to hopefully create new fans and new participants in both sports.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So I guess one thing we wanted to ask you generally was how did Kyle Troop come into your radar? I mean, we know he's, in the bowling world, he's extremely popular right now. He's probably the most popular bowler on the planet. He just had a tremendous season. He's the best bowler on the planet right now. How did you happen to come across him?
Yeah, a little there's 2 things you said, and both are true. One is I think he is coming off an amazing season. We definitely want athletes that are relative in their sport and competing at the highest level. But the other thing that caught our eye and what we really look for is we look for personalities, and we want this show, right, to be entertaining and fun, and we want it to be full of personalities. You guys are from the Northeast. If you're from Philly or New York, you have personality. You're born with it. But in the fishing world, a lot of our competitors don't have personality. In the bowling world, I know some of yours don't either. But Kyle,
a lot of them don't.
Yeah,
a lot of them don't.
But Kyle has a big personality. He's got a brand. He's bold and loud, and that really drew us to him. And when we found out, after a couple messages to Kyle, we found out that he actually took up fishing during COVID. It seemed like a match made in heaven,
Okay, excellent. You mentioned that Kyle is loud. There's a lot of PBA bowlers out there that aren't so entertaining. Rob and I talk about that a lot. Rob, I'm surprised you don't want to jump in there and just preach about your strong belief, and I believe it too, that we need more personality in the bowling telecast.
We do. It's you know, a lot of the pros need to kind of adapt the idea that they have to be also entertainers as well as bowlers, right?
Yes.
One of the greatest bowlers of all, you know, most popular bowler is Pete Weber. Pete Weber was a entertainer, but he also won, and he was on TV a lot. So, you know, I feel like if a lot more pros took that personality and wanted to be entertainers as well as win, there would be a lot more guys like Kyle and Pete Weber on the shows. And I think that would bring in ratings because people want to love you, not what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many, you bring up a great point. There's so many similarities between fishing and bowling. It's unbelievable. And you would never think of it. Not just from the competitive standpoint, but from what you just said. You know, the fishing world forever was stereotyped as boring and slow and low. And most of the competitors in the 70s and 80s were from the South. They were Southern gentlemen, very all shucks. And, you know, as the sport grew in the 90s and early 2000s and personalities started to emerge, it took our sport to a new level. And people can really relate to sometimes to a person, you know, through his personality, his spirit, and his brand, right? Everybody should be responsible for their own brand, whatever that is. And, you know, for sure in the fishing world, it's helped us immensely. And I think in the bowling world, it would also help immensely.
Well said, for sure. You are someone who is undoubtedly known for their passion when they're involved in their thing that they do. Rob, you want to bring up the video and show the people, give them a little example of the celebrations here. Very PDW-esque, I have to say.
Yeah, yeah. That's the way to start today, baby. We're pal at DT6 in his face, baby. Yeah.
I bet there's some screaming going on. Never give up! Never give up! That one's for you, baby. Woo! Yeah! Yeah! Oh my God, I love it! Thank you, Lord.
My motto in life and fishing, never give up. Right at the end, baby.
If he was my kid.
That's awesome. I mean, just the passion is just awesome. I love it. So here's my question to you, because in the bowling community, if you show that kind of passion, honestly, you're probably gonna get a lot of hate. You know, especially at the higher level. So when you came into professional fishing and you showed that kind of passion, what was the reaction?
Yeah, it was you hit it on the head. It was a lot of rejection from the mainstream. It was a lot of, you know, I wouldn't say hate necessarily, but you know, when there's something different, there's a resistance to it. And you know, for me, the best thing was to stay the course, you know, and to not, you know, not bow down to that stuff. And in the long run, it really did help me in my career by staying the course. And you know what really happened is, you know, in every sport, you're going to have detractors, and you have to develop a thick skin if you're going to be a professional, if you're going to be in the spotlight in anything you do. I'm sure you guys even get it, right? You're in the spotlight, so you're going to have detractors. But, you know, when you're true to yourself and you're doing it for the right reasons, when it's not an act, when it's comes from the soul, you know, you just gotta stay the course. And, you know, my brand, what I consider my brand, was created from that excitement and that energy and that passion. And all these years later, so this is 30 years in for me. This has been a long time. You know, it's really, really helped me. And I want to believe it's helped grow the sport a little bit too. And that's what we all want, right? We want more people fishing. You guys want more people bowling, right? You want that. And to do that, you have to break the norm. You have to be different. And that's how you get new people. And, you know, that revolves all back to this show. You know, this show, man, we're looking for new people to watch fishing. We're looking for new people to watch the sports of the athletes that I'm fishing with. So, hopefully it works. Hopefully we have some breakthrough.
Oh, we lost Mike there, but I'll keep the interview going because I feel like it's so interesting, the comparison, right, between fishing and bowling. And one of the things that I try to tell a lot of the people out there is the fact that sponsorships, right, and how we can gain new viewership. And so I know fishing has a lot of great sponsorships and a lot of companies tied to fishing. Now, did you feel like your personality and what you were doing out there, that you were so different in the fishing world, helped you bring in new sponsors that might have never gained any kind of visibility prior to you?
Absolutely. That was really, really important to acquiring new fans, to acquiring new media opportunities that I've never had, that fishing has never had, and acquiring new sponsorships. And, the great thing was I was sort of able to break through and start acquiring sponsors outside of the fishing world, right? Non-endemic sponsorships. And what I've heard, and a lot of these now have been long-term. Toyota is one of my biggest sponsors since 2005. And, we a lot of times will have the conversation about, remember back when we started, and all this. And they were drawn to me because of my personality and because I stood out and I was different. So, I always preach that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be not the norm. You don't always have to be loud or obnoxious, but be you and be different and stand up to your differences, and I think that for sure helps bring new people, new media, and most of all, new sponsors,
All right, Ike, listen, last question before we get you out of here, and I have to bring this up. I have to ask you about this because my guy, Mark Jeffries, over at Bass Talk Live, he's a bowler as well, and him and I talk a lot. And, there's a phenomenon in the bowling community of people who are sponsored by bowling ball companies generally. And they sort of get free equipment here and there, and they don't get paid for their sponsorship. It's just free equipment. And they wear the jerseys of the company and the patches, et cetera. And Mark tells me that, there's kind of this same phenomenon in the fishing community, and you guys refer to them as patch pirates. So can I get a comment from you? Can I get a comment from you on patch pirates?
Yeah, patch pirates are out there. They're out there in force, probably in both of our worlds. And I sort of get it. Part of me gets it because part of me was, I remember, I'm an old guy now, but I can remember being 16, 17, 18 years old, right? And you aspire to be who you're watching, right? I watched Bassmasters when I was a kid. I read Bassmaster magazine. I saw these guys with the patches. I wanted to be that guy, right? So I understand that part of it. But the other half of me, you look at the business side of it and it hurts, right? Because we have out here semi-pro and even, I hate to say this, but even some pro anglers that are wearing logos, endorsing these companies, and they're not getting paid at that higher level, right? And when that happens, it really brings down the sport, sort of, right? It brings down the integrity of the business that we're trying to build. And so there's two sides to it, but I don't know that patch pirates are ever going to go away.
I'm sorry to hear that in both communities. Ike, listen, we really appreciate you having us, joining us and giving us the time. Folks in the bowling community, the show, again, is My World, CBS Sports Network. I believe it's Monday nights at 9, yes?
Monday nights at 8:30. So this coming Monday is the Kyle Troop Show. I'm so excited about this one. This one's special. I hope all your listeners and viewers go over and watch it. It's Monday nights, CBS Sports, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This one with Kyle is going to be a lot of fun. So I hope everybody watches it.
Well, I know I'll be watching. I know Rob will be watching. The bowling community generally supports. Will probably be watching. From us, thanks for bringing somebody from the bowling community onto your show, man. It's awesome. When I saw that, I was like, mad respect to this dude. picking out other niche sports and giving them some shine and helping bowling kind of market things along. So props to you for that. Maybe I'll catch you in Philly sometime, man. We might see each other around the way at some point. So if we do, don't hesitate to holler.
That's the deal. Thanks, guys, for having me on. And for sure, love to share fishing day with you guys and maybe a bowling day. So appreciate you having me on the show.
Yo, Ike, take it easy, man. Thanks for the time.
Bye.
All right, so you guys all heard it. Kyle Troop next this upcoming Monday, CBS Sports Network, 8:30. My World with Mike Iaconelli, well-known angler. You guys can check it out. I like the idea. I like the cross-sport promotion, Rob.
I mean, it doesn't hurt, right? And it's definitely good because there's a lot of similarities between fishing and bowling. And people like us who don't know fishing are probably going, well, how interesting could fishing be, right? You sit in a boat and you catch fish, right? And you wait for fish. But people who are in the non-bowling world think, well, how interesting is bowling? You're throwing a bowling ball at pins, right? So, there's definitely so much more that goes into a sport like fishing, between the rods. Maybe are they high performance rods? Big Mike, are some lakes easier fish than other? Is there sport fishing patterns?
Like, does the left? I mean, we could have asked him all kinds of stupid questions. I didn't want to waste the dude's time. Like, does the left-handed cast get shut out sometimes?
I know we could have just really had some fun with it, but this guy is the top of his game, and now he's doing a show on CBS Sports. And it's pretty incredible to see what someone who's fishing, could bring in and do like a primetime show on a Monday night.
Yo, so Mike in the chat says, "Is two-handed fishing better?" Yo, that's awesome. That's a great.
There's
question.
A lot of ways we could.
No, but listen, Rob. How many times do you say on this show that you would love to see bowlers in the same position that he's in, with a reality show of some kind, to be able to market their brand? Put out what they're doing to the people in a major way, and listen, I know we're only getting a small slice of it here with Kyle Troop, but it's nice to see that. And, when we got the opportunity to do that cross promotion there, I jumped at that opportunity. And plus, like I said, guy's a Philly guy. So I'm always going to give my Philly guys shine.
Maybe like the reality show producers of Ike's show, maybe will realize how great of a personality Kyle is, and then maybe want to give him his own reality show. I mean, how cool would it be if you start a reality show with Kyle Troop as the host, and Kyle Troop maybe goes from bowling center to bowling center and maybe challenges people at the high level of their sport to a bowling match, or just stuff like that where you get in. Look, I'm not a reality show producer, but I mean, I think that Kyle Troop, out of all the pros, in my opinion, right now, would be the best person to have his own reality show. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that?
Well, listen to Ike's reasoning behind why they asked him to do it, right? Because of the personality and
Sure.
the marketable nature of who he is. Okay,
no, awesome guest though, Mike. Awesome guest though, Mike. Seriously,
thank you. Appreciate it. I'm glad. Like I said, I always, anytime we get an opportunity to do something different, I do like to go down those avenues from time to time. Rob. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program.
Back to the train wreck of bowling.
back to our regularly scheduled program. Rob, today in my world of bowling might as well be Black Wednesday.
Terrible.
Okay?
Terrible. It's terrible, Rob, Mike. Oh God, when I score. I wish you could have seen the reaction when I saw your tweet. I almost fell over.
My God.
So let's talk, Mike. You're bowling a new league, right? Tuesday nights, it's a sport league, right?
Stu is such a hater. He's such a hater. You just pop out,
let's
right?
Talk about it.
Such a hater. He was here. We're talking. The fishing guy. He could easily pop in and make a comparison. Nope, he waits until. Go ahead.
Let's talk, Mike. So what'd you do last night? Because I don't make it too long, because look, it was terrible. I don't want to go on.
I did everything wrong. Okay. Obviously, I shot like 475, I think was my series, or 478 for 3 games. I was bowling.
Hold on. I lost you for a sec. I lost you. I didn't hear. Wait, what did you shoot again? What was that score?
I think it was 478. Yeah. I know. Terrible. Thank you for the support. I appreciate that.
I could kick the ball down the lane better and shoot 475. Wait, I could do a lot.
Okay.
What else could I have done?
Listen, I did everything wrong. Okay, I missed probably a half a dozen single pin spares, easy spares. If you and honestly, I don't. I know. And can you bring up the league pictures? Can you bring the league pictures? Bring them up. These might as well be crime scene photos. Quite frankly, they might as well have yellow tape around them. But if you want to bring them up, I'll provide some context.
I just got one picture, okay, because that's all I think we really need.
No. If we're providing the correct context, then I need more than one picture.
Well, it's going to take me a little bit because I only shared myself one picture. So
we're just going to give you one picture. This guy is setting me up. You are setting me up right here, son. This is wrong. This is wrong. What's going on? So this is.
Wait, which one are you?
I'm the last one. I don't. This is game 1. Okay.
7 miss. You didn't even get the wood. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. Split. Ball falls off my hand. 7-0.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, terrible. Listen, I can't defend it. I mean, I did everything wrong. I was bowling against a guy who's a regional titleist. He shot 720, I think. Shot 289 the second game at me.
Hey, real convenient though. You shoot 475 the first week of not league night, right, Mike?
Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in this league because there's a cap on how low your average can drop anyway. How many pins below you can drop from the start. So, it doesn't really matter. Listen, it was the short pattern. I tried to use urethane to start. Yeah, Stu shot 870 last night, and he texted me while he was shooting 870. And I said, and after I was done bowling, I texted him back and said, "Yeah, I think you beat my series for 14 frames tonight." And I was trying to figure it out. We got 11 teams. We got 11 teams.
Not bad.
Yeah, we got 11 teams.
Going to go off, right?
Right, 11 teams, and I think we might have a 12th going into the second half. But yeah, I'll be honest. Like a couple of the teams are somewhat shaky, I would say, just because, listen, there's people who sign up for a sport league who don't have a lot of experience on sport conditions, and it can be rough. It can be really tough. So there's definitely a couple teams that fall into that category.
Dude, Jeff is speechless.
He's speechless. Seriously. I know. I understand. Jeff, I bowled so bad. I tweeted out, I don't even deserve to have my image on a rosin bag. Honestly, it's how bad I bowled. No, it wasn't house. It was a short pattern. I tried to use urethane. It either the gutter wasn't hooking enough or I couldn't get slow enough. Okay. The guy I was bowling against, he used reactive to start out. Was struggling like crazy in the beginning of the first game, switched to urethane. I think it was a Storm fast pitch. I was using a Purple Hammer. Switches to the fast pitch, throws the last 5 for 220, and then goes front 10 the next game.
So what pattern was it? What pattern was it?
Montreal. Montreal is the name of the pattern. It's a 37-foot short pattern. And, like I said, the only other thought I had was that I wasn't going direct enough with the urethane. I felt like perhaps it was the kind of situation where if you were going to use urethane, you had to get the ball going from right to left off your hand a little bit. And I just couldn't do that. It was either straight off my hand and it was a 2-pin, or it was a little bit right off my hand and it was a 2-8-10, 2-4-8-10 combination. And I left those quite a few times. I missed a couple 2-pins. I missed a 2-pin in a 10th frame because I was more worried about a ball switch than I was about making the spare. During the second game, I went 2-10, 2-pin spare, 2-10 to start the second game with the Purple Hammer. At that point, I threw the 2-10 as slow as I could, and it's still 2-10. So I said, all right, I got to get this ball out of my hand. I switched to a gold hustle, and I went strike, 8-pin, strike, 10-pin, missed the 10-pin, made the 8-pin. And then I opened in the 10th, trying to get another look at a different ball. Stuck with the hustle the last game for the most part, and yeah, that ball kind of stopped hooking after the end of the second game there. So yeah, 140, 180, 140 pretty much is where I was at. And listen, give me all the shit you want. That's fine. I deserve it. I stink.
Look, like you can't get any worse. So I don't.
I hear you.
You better at least break 500 next week.
I mean, listen, my goal is to shoot 600 or above every single week. I mean, I go in thinking I can shoot 600 or above, but
people in the chat, I want you to throw out Mike's over and under for series next week. I'm setting
it's a different pattern. It's a different pattern. It's the medium pattern that we switch to. So yeah, we go short, medium, long. So traditionally, on this particular medium pattern, because we've bowled on it before, I am pretty confident, but I don't know. Like usually the gutter hooks on this short pattern that we bowled on, and it didn't hook this time. So I know the bowling center is waiting on a new Kegel machine. They're currently using one of the older Brunswick machines.
548.
Yeah, it's probably fair. It's very fair.
507. That's
give me more motivation. Thank you. I appreciate it. I deserve it. But
Nico, 675 for
thank
what?
you, Nico.
Four games for 4?
for 5. Hey, but listen, laugh all you want. Laugh all you want. Let me make a serious point. Okay? Let me make a serious point. I'm going to go back to what you said at the opening of the episode, Rob. Okay?
Okay.
And to open this episode, you talked about your experience over Labor Day, going golfing, going to the golf range and seeing all these people out practicing, out trying to get better. Let me say this. I might have shot 480 last night. And listen, shout to
475. 475. Don't give yourself 5 pins.
Shout to Lou Gaudio, regional titleist, who I bowled against, who shot 720, beat me by over 200 pins, 250 pins.
Dude, he whipped me.
I mean, it was an ass kicking of epic proportions all around. There's no question about that. But here's the point that I want to make. At least when I left last night, I wasn't blaming the lane machine. I wasn't blaming the lane man. I wasn't blaming the ball. I wasn't blaming the ball driller. You know who I was blaming? I was blaming myself. And you know what I knew? That before next Tuesday comes around, I better get my ass in the bowling center and I better practice, whether it's on house, sport, whatever, to at least get my confidence level back up. Okay? And Rob, at the beginning of the episode, you talked about how, you see golfers and they all want to get better and they want to get better at the game because it's challenging. We don't see that in bowling. Well, then why criticize me? I'm here saying, hey, I'm a once a week, twice a week bowler. I'm willing to take on the ultimate challenge that you can take on in bowling pretty much for the league side of the game. Yeah, I'm going to have terrible weeks, but you want to know something? It makes me want to get out and practice. It makes me want to go out and get better. I'll be in the pro shop this week, drilling a few balls, trying to get ready for this week and give myself a better look. I'll be practicing numerous times before that short pattern comes up again. So, say what you want, but I prefer to compete on that side of the game.
Honestly, Mike, I'm just having fun with you because I know I could bust your balls about it. If I bowl 475, the shit that you would be giving me would be astronomical on this show. You're 100% right, though. I mean, look, when I was at the golf range and I was seeing these people around me that were trying to get better at a challenging sport, it made me think about all the people that if they go to their local house shots and, maybe by accident they oil a sport on, the house, or the lanes are harder than normal, people want to quit and they don't want to and a lot of the excuses that I hear, the reason why the USBC won't go to a fully house pattern condition, meaning if you're going to get sanctioned by a sport, if you're going to get sanctioned by the USBC, there should be a USBC pattern out on every house league. If the house doesn't want to get sanctioned by the USBC, then they could put out their own shots, right? And the reason why they won't do that, why? Because they're afraid that people are not going to bowl and they're going to quit, right? But that shouldn't be that way, Mike. It should be like people at the golf range every day. You go there trying to get better and, make a challenging sport and own it. Like, we're so far away from that in our sport.
But things have gotten so out of control and so out of balance at this point that the point is that if you do that, it might drive people away completely because it's gotten so out of balance in that way for so long. So listen, I don't sit here to pretend and have all the answers, but I do preach what I preach, and I try and back that up with my own involvement in the game. And I just think that when you make them hard and people bowl bad, it motivates people to get out there and practice.
Chris made a comment here. The more I think about it, Mike is right. Burn it all down and start over again. Honestly, dude, they really need to burn down the handicap system and start that over again, okay? Because that's the first thing that needs to be really, really reevaluated. Because tournaments that, and we'll get into this a little bit later. But
listen, let me tell you something about this league. Let me make a point about this league. 90% handicap. Okay, 90% of the difference between the two teams. You don't see that in many leagues anymore. Okay, 90% of the difference between the two teams. And do you want to know what regularly happens in this league when the better bowlers who bowl together, for the most part, when the better bowlers bowl good, they absolutely slaughter the guys like me, and that's what happened last night. So I think when you have people bowling in that real environment, Rob, and the skill factor is much higher. You have to have a much higher degree of skill to be able to bowl well on that than you do on something of house. It makes the handicap system make more sense.
Yeah.
The handicap system makes more sense when the skill is a bigger part of what's going on out there. But, the other side of the game has become so easy that the skill factor does not matter enough. And when you add the handicap system to it, forget it. It's like if you take a handicap team who regularly can bowl well over their average because they're so easy, then the other team given the pins really has no chance to win.
Yeah, the handicap system is majorly flawed, right? And they do need to burn that down and reevaluate it and try to find some way where the handicap will kind of, I don't know what system you would put into play, but that adjusts to the houses you're bowling in. But I also do feel like the house shots that the USPC are sanctioning, that needs to be reevaluated too, right? But anyway, so look, that needs to be reevaluated and kind of looked at and try to keep the integrity of the game where the USPC, where a 300 actually means something again these days. Because it's just, we've talked about this so many times.
Guy who I was bowling against last night had the front nine. I got up there, threw the first one, missed the second one, went up, just kind of threw the ball down the lane, gave him, he had gone up and threw the first one at that point, gave him the rest of the time. Most of the league stopped. Everybody was paying attention. Even though he shot 289, everybody clapped for him for a 289. I mean, these are the things you start to see. These are the things you start to see when you bowl in those environments.
Honestly, Mike, one of my 300s that I'm proud of the most is the 300 that I bowled on Badger, which was 52 feet. And I mean, it was they were so just, if you missed right, the ball fell off a cliff. I could, no doubt, I could kick it down the lane. I could do it. You
people are ridiculous. You people are. Listen, a short pattern where the gutters don't hook is not easy, folks. In fact, I'm not gonna. I text a couple people for just general advice of how they would play this pattern that I was bowling on. And one of the people texted me back and said, it looks like a pretty standard short pattern that should be your thing to the gutter if the gutter hooks. But if the gutter doesn't hook, it could be a really long night. And it was for me. I mean, I did everything wrong. So it's fine. I'll be back. It's all good. But yeah, I think in the bigger scheme of the conversation, definitely some points to be made there, Rob. All right. Well, you ready to move on? We good?
We do it. Let's go.
Okay. Michael Holloman's Facebook post.
Oh, I like that. I sent that to you too because I thought that was an interesting post.
You did. Do you want to bring it up or do you want me to read it?
Read it? You could just read it.
Okay. Give me 1 second while I bring it up here. Okay. From our convo here, give me a second. Here's what he says. Is bowling the only sport you get punished for being good at? To me, it seems like every year it just seems to get worse. You can't bowl this because you have a PBA card. You can't bowl this because you have a regional title. You can't bowl this because you was Rookie of the Year. You can't bowl this because your average is too high. My favorite one is you can't bowl this because of your last name. I mean, you put in the work to get better and then get punished by it. I know it happens to me. What about anyone else, especially in your hometown? Does this happen?
There's so many different ways I can go with this. First off, it's nothing new, okay? If you have your pro card that you're instantly shut out of bowling a lot of local tournaments. You're shut out of bowling big amateur tournaments, right? The pros know that before they get their pro card, okay? Mikkel Holloman should understand that before he gets his pro card, that he's going to be shut out of bowling a lot of tournaments, okay? Do I, as a local amateur guy, because that's what I am right now, I'm a local amateur guy, do I want, as a bowler that's going to be competing and giving $100 of my money on an entry of a tournament, do I want a guy like Mikkel Holloman bowling the local tournament? No, I don't want him bowling that. Okay. I learned that the hard way when I competed against Sam Cooley a few months back that we talked about it, where he bowled next to me on a sports shot. And dude, he ran over him. I mean, it's, and I'm a once a week bowler and I have no chance of beating a guy like Sam Cooley. I have no chance of beating a guy like Mikkel Holloman, right? These guys,
Michael Holloman.
Mikkel. I mean, look, like ultimately the point is I kind of understand where he's coming from as a pro, but I just don't. I feel like he's just kind of complaining and whining about it on the internet because he might have got shut out of bowling a local tournament that he felt like he probably could have won some money, but he couldn't because maybe, he's been on TV. He was Rookie of the Year, right? Those are titles, but those are, why should a pro who's been Rookie of the Year be able to bowl a local tournament like a King of the Hill or something like that? I don't feel like they should be able to bowl that. I could get a lot of shit for that, but look, that's coming from somebody who bowls a local tournaments. I don't want to bowl against those guys.
I agree with you on that.
You agree with me? Oh, I thought I was going to get a lot of shit, dude. I thought you were going to kill me.
No, it's a fine line. I do agree that it's a fine line. I mean, bowling is so, again, you just said it before in the previous segment, Rob, like the sport's so messed up. The whole system with all this stuff about pros and who can bowl and amateurs, this and that, and you can't bowl certain stuff, but you can bowl others. I mean, it really just makes no sense. And I agree with you in what you said, but I got to pull your card here for a minute though, because like you're an example of how the system is messed up to a degree. Because while you paint yourself as amateur bowler now, as you said on this podcast numerous times, you were a PBA member. You did bowl the World Series of Bowling. You have competed in PBA regionals before. So like, why does that? See, you understand what I'm saying? Like, you're exempted from that because you failed at that level and then came back to this level.
Yep.
No. To me, you don't get that either. You shouldn't get that either. And I know, this is not to knock you, but hey, if you went and you joined the PBA, if that means that you're banned from all the amateur tournaments or local events for life, then that means you're banned for life. That was a decision that you had to make when you made that decision to join the 100%. PBA. Now, with that said, that's just me pointing out part of the problem. Okay, I'm not saying I feel that way. The way the bowling community is, I feel like anybody should be able to bowl anything. All right, because there's really no rhyme or reason to how things are done. Okay, we can all sit here and say, oh, well, look at this example or look at that example and argue forever about it, right? And get nowhere. So to me, the easiest solution to that is to say, well, let whoever bowl whatever they want. To me, it's more incumbent upon the bowlers themselves to know, to be able to evaluate, like, what is the proper level of competition that they should be entering or not entering.
It's such a larger problem, though, Mike. In reality, like, it's the problem where the PBA is just not paying enough money for those guys that are ranked, like Michael Holloman is ranked, right? Like Michael Holloman has to go out and bowl maybe a lot of the local tournaments and maybe a local, whatever it is, to try to supplement some income. Okay, Mike, let's compare golf, because we've already compared golf for fishing, whatever it is. You're not going to see a guy like Jordan Spieth play at a local amateur tournament if that was for prize money. Okay, because see, now that's the big difference between bowling and a lot of other sports is, as an amateur golfer, now I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that amateur golfers don't make money okay, when they play in amateur tournaments. I'm pretty sure Tiger Woods, when he won the U.S. Amateurs, whatever times as he won it, he did not make $1 in prize money for that win. Now, ultimately, of course, if you win the U.S. Amateur in golf, you're probably going to line in a lot of sponsorships if you don't have them already, and there's going to be a lot of visibility on you, whatever. But as for prize money, amateurs don't make any money in golf. Bowling, though, whole different story. The TAT was this weekend, okay? They ran a new Labor Day tournament. There was an open division for pros that could bowl. David Haynes, who we all know is a very, long time amateur bowler who never really went pro, but could have at one time. He won that for $15,000. Mike, that is a amateur tournament. He won $15,000, right? Now, that's maybe why Michael maybe was angry, because maybe he didn't get a chance to bowl that tournament in the open division. I'm not sure why he was, angry or made that post, but I'm assuming maybe that's the reason. Problem is here is amateurs tournaments are paying just as much as pro tournaments. Mike, the TAP paid $15,000. I'm pretty sure that was getting paid first place, or not even for a lot of those extra frame tournaments. There's no separation between being an amateur and a pro, except for having a pro card as a PBA and paying for it. That's, to me, a big issue in the sport. There should be a comparison. When you say you're an amateur bowler or I'm a professional bowler, that should mean something. You just said it. That doesn't mean anything these days, because I'm calling myself an amateur, but in reality, I could be a pro. I mean, all I got to do is just sign up tomorrow, pay the membership, and now I'm a pro. So where's the difference? Where is the separation between amateur and pro?
Yeah, that's kind of why I said what I said, and you brought up something interesting there, and I'm going to kind of segue into another discussion here. But I sent out a tweet yesterday because there were a lot of professional bowlers yesterday who were commenting on social media about bowling league, or it being their first league night, or they bowled league for the first time in a while, or whatever. And I sent out on Twitter. I forget exactly what I said. Hold on, let me look it up so that I know what I said. I said all these PBA guys coming out and announcing themselves as house league bowlers is just crushing me inside. It's like when your idol reveals themselves as a fraud. Okay, and to be clear, I'm joking. All right, there's people out there that really take me too seriously. I feel like on Twitter I'm gonna have to start putting a warning, hey, this is a joke, before I tweet something out. But in all seriousness, though, there were a lot of guys who were saying that they're going to bowl league, and somebody tweeted at me and said, "What's the comparison to this?" Right? He said, "Is this like Nick Saban, who was great in college, went to the pros, couldn't make it, and then came back down to college and dominated?" That was the comparison that they were giving, and I'm like, no, it's not like that at all. Because it's not always somebody who went up to that level, couldn't make it at that level, and comes back down. In a lot of instances, you have guys that are currently at that level and dominating at that level, winning at that level, who are also showing up to local stuff in bowling. I mean, you bowled against Sam Cooley a couple weeks ago. The tournaments that you told me you're bowling, Jacob Buttriff shows up to on the regular. So, come on. I mean, there has to be a line somewhere. But, Rob, what comparison would you make for that? What is the other sport comparison to somebody like a Jacob Buttriff bowling a local 8-game marathon that you're bowling in?
I don't think that happens in a lot. Maybe that, to be honest with you, it's hard for me to think of another sport or hobby. Maybe when the NBA player goes to play street hoops in your local park, and you see some of those videos. Sometimes I see Kyrie Irving playing at Rucker. What is that? Rucker Park, right? He goes and he plays street hoops, and I feel like that's a comparison where you see a guy like Kyrie Irving, who's a top 5 guard, go and play in your local street game.
Yeah, to me, I like the comparison you gave earlier that made me think to mention that, and that was a top 50 golfer in the world, showing up to a local country club and playing in the money games that they have at the country club. Listen, these guys ain't even in the same stratosphere, okay? It don't matter how much handicap you give them. It's irrelevant. So, Yeah, I definitely I find it surprising. I do. I mean, God, more power to those guys that want to go and bowl league. I mean, Stu, he was here commenting earlier. He's one of them. I know he bowls with his wife, so I'm sure he enjoys it, and I'm sure it's a social thing to them. And I understand that people think that that's lost on me. I'm not
Okay,
dumb, people. It's not lost on me, okay, that people bowl league for fun. I get it. But the problem is that fun piece and the serious piece have become too blurred over time, okay? That's the problem. So stop telling me that I don't understand that people bowl for fun. I get it. I just bowled a summer league for fun. Are you paying attention? I get bowling for fun, okay? But it's when the fun side of the game and the serious side of the game become too blurred, and that's what happened. But I share those things, Rob, also as a way to comment on, hey, there's a lot of discrepancy in the bowling world about what top-level bowlers can and can't bowl. They can show up and bowl a USBC league, but they can't bowl the tap. They can show up and bowl the local 8-game marathon at this bowling center run by this guy, but they can't bowl this one over here run by this other guy.
100%.
It's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
You know what? The more I think about it, the person who commented about me being right about burning it down and starting over, the more we discuss these issues, Rob, the more strongly I feel about that. That the best way to do it is just trash it and start over.
I want to bring this point up by Eddie. By the way, Eddie, good to see you, man. Always awesome when you're in the chat here. Playing against better competition and the top dogs in the sport should bring out the best in you. Okay, coming from personal experience, from somebody who just got his ass kicked by Sam Cooley all over the place in a 7-game sports shot, bowling against or next to Sam Cooley did not bring out the best in me. Okay, all it did was make me feel worse than I really am. Okay. When I see Sam Cooley bowling to the left of me and Jacob Butcher bowling to the right of me, I'm not all of a sudden going to be elevating my game and scoring better than I should have.
Oh, I got to concentrate more because these pros. No, come on.
You know what that reminds me of, Mike?
And that makes even less sense when it comes to physical sports.
Right.
Like, tell that to a boxer. Tell that to a UFC fighter.
Well,
okay.
You know what it reminds me of, Mike?
Fighting somebody tougher is gonna make you better. Yeah, no. I get it, but you're gonna have to get your ass kicked a lot to get to that point, and that's not fun, and that's frustrating. And
if anybody's ever played online video games and you're playing like in a first-person shooter, and you got one guy that just keeps sniping you every time your head pops up somewhere, your game isn't going to be better all of a sudden. You're going to keep getting your head blown off every time you see this guy. Okay. So my whole saying is, like, I understand why the tournament directors don't want these people bowling, because the TAT is a perfect example of the entries and money they bring in, because they have eliminated the pros and they have eliminated the top amateurs. Okay. Now that's where our sport, that's where we are right now. Amateur tournaments are paying better than some pro tournaments. Okay. Until that gets figured out, my opinion is amateurs, including the tournaments I bowl, maybe even some leagues. I know there was some talk in that Twitter about leagues, maybe shouldn't pay money. Okay, now this is such a hot take because we've done this for so long in the bowling industry where this change, people don't like change. Okay, maybe amateurs should do away with complete money, right? If you want to make money as a bowler, then you get your professional card. If you don't want to make money as an amateur, then what you want to stay amateur, then you bowl, but you don't make any money. Okay. A lot of other sports do it, Mike. That's why colleges, a lot of people, when you make money, you can't bowl for college. I mean, not bowling, but once you accept
on the
money,
on the women's side anyway.
But once you accept money
that's
as
not
an amateur,
true anymore.
You can't play college sports, NCAA.
That's not true anymore with the licensing stuff that they're doing.
It is. It's different because they had to change that because of these colleges making billions of dollars off the players and these guys struggling for dorm like money. You know what I mean? So there had to be some give or take, but it's a big controversial topic in college sports. No?
Yeah, no, it is. And my response about the leagues, my tweet was about two things I wanted to get into on the show tonight here. And as it turned out, I don't know if we're going to have time to get deeply into either one of them. Perhaps next week we can put it on the back burner. But the one thing that I commented on was the prize fund structure in leagues and the fact that in these leagues, all the teams get paid out something. And I'll be honest, it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy that that's the way it is. Any bowling competition you show up to, there's a cash ratio. And some people that put money up are not getting anything back, and they know that going in. And then in leagues, we want to give every single team something back. And, it dilutes the prize fund for the league. To me, it actually gives less motivation for the people in the league to get better and to actually practice and to, kind of improve their standing in the league. If you cut league payments off it, let's say there's a 12-team league, let's say sixth place gets paid. Well, now the teams in 7th through 12th, they really have something to bowl for to get up to that sixth place and get a decent payout. The second thing that I said I wanted to discuss that I don't think we'll have a ton of time to do tonight was the way leagues are chosen, the way leagues are picked. That's another thing that's killing bowling, Rob, is the fact that the bowlers themselves get full choice over who they bowl with. And the reason that I'm going to say it's killing bowling is because what has happened over time is that the good bowlers want to bowl with the good bowlers, and the not-so-good bowlers get stuck bowling with the not-so-good bowlers. And, the level of competition never really gets evened out. I have some ideas, but like I said, we're a little bit late in the show to get super deep into that.
Just a quick question, though. If you went, let's just say there was a 30-team league, and you decided as a league you were going to pay.
Okay.
Just saying, there's a big scratch league, right? Which still there's 30-team leagues out there.
Okay.
Big league, and you decide to pay 12 of the 30. Okay. Yeah, draft league, yeah, good. But so let me make this point. It's you're 3/4 of the way into the league, and you're in 26th place. Okay, out of 30 teams.
Right.
Don't you think that might the sandbagging problem would be even worse because you're already out of the money? You're not making any money in the league. So what is the motivation for someone in 22nd to move up if you're already out of the money?
Well,
Wouldn't it be a lot of sandbagging?
Okay, my answer to that is: do you think it's the $100 they're getting back in 22nd place that's stopping them from doing that?
I mean, I feel like, yeah, in a way, they don't know. I mean, how much money they're getting back, but they know they're getting.
If they do, back. You vote on the prize fund, so you know
Okay.
exactly what you're getting back.
Okay. Well, I don't feel like a lot of people know what they're getting back. But here's the thing that's funny is in Brooklyn, where I used to bowl when I was a kid, they would give half the prize money based on points, like of how many teams you beat. The other half was total wood. Okay. Where if you sandbag, you were essentially going to lose money. The problem is people still sandbagged anyway. So it really didn't fucking matter. Honestly, you'd be surprised. People love sandbagging regardless of what place you're in. So maybe that's a kind of a moot point I was making. But still, I kind of feel like, there might be a lot of more sandbagging if you're in 17th place and they're paying top 12 teams and you really don't have a whole lot to bowl for anymore, unless it's brackets and side pots, which.
But you're also when you bring up sandbagging, you're assuming that the vast majority of people are there for the purpose of gaming the handicap system. Right. And I don't know. I just don't think that I make that same assumption. I mean, I understand where you're coming from and I get it. And I even think I tend to agree with you to a large degree on that. But I don't think we could generalize that much.
This is a good point by Chris, real quick. The problem is those teams will quit after a year or two of not winning anything. Then the league shrinks. I think that validates your point about the good bowlers keep bowling with the good bowlers. And that's lots that happens with the USBC tournament, at the national tournament, right? Because usually you just have that little small group of teams that all get together and they create these great teams that are going to win. And then I feel like everybody else is just there for a vacation and but that's the reason why the SBC tournament is shrinking and the entries keep shrinking because of that and how hard they're making the shot on top of it.
I like the draft league idea. I do. I like what Bayside. I like what Bayside does.
Bayside, every league, every tournament, every league should try to recreate what Bayside has at their league because there's so much competition that gets in those leagues, from my understanding, and there's not a whole lot of money involved. But there's a cup and there is recognition.
I disagree. I disagree with all these people that think leagues shouldn't get paid. I do. I got to be honest. It's a part of bowling. Bowling is a gambling. It has deep traditions in gambling. the league bowling aspect and the pots and the brackets, it's all based around that deep tradition in gambling and bowling. And I think that if anything, we should be trying to build the prize funds for leagues, not take them away. I understand that you can still bowl the side action. I get all that, but I don't think that taking the money away from leagues is a way to grow league bowling on any front.
Honestly, Mike, the league has to do it correctly. Okay. And what I mean by that is make winning the league something that people want to do, regardless if there's money or no money. Maybe there's a picture. Maybe they spent a lot of the entries and get their picture in the newspaper with a league cup with their name on it and a big banner in the bowling alley. Make it worth something where people. Sometimes money isn't everything, and and I get that, and I say that as someone who likes to gamble and win money. But sometimes people rather see their picture in a plaque in the bowling alley trophy wall with the picture of their team and their league name and their team name and everybody. And you know what? Your money you spend in the 6 months, but that picture of your team in a trophy stand in the bowling alley might be there for years. Where you take your kids and be like, look, son, we're defending league champions. I feel like the league has to do it.
Yeah, right next to the giant mannequin that has a bowling ball head and deer antlers coming out of it. Yeah, it'll be right next to that.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I don't know,
wild.
but
You're
I'm
wild,
just saying
son.
that the bowl, look what Bayside does, though.
I know, but I just
think
that a lot of bowlers are showing up to compete for the money. They're showing up to compete for something, compete for the prize fund. I'm open to something different. I'm open to trying different things, but I don't know. Like, I think that a lot of bowlers are showing up to compete for the prize fund.
Let me ask you something though, real quick though, Mike. Have you ever played in an adult softball league?
No.
Okay, so there's adult softball leagues are huge. Okay, you go to any, like in New York, it's big, dude. It is so competitive, but they don't give prize money out for people who win adult softball leagues. But yet people go there and they're so competitive and they want to win. What is the difference between an adult softball men's league and a bowling men's league? Well, why can't they why isn't that a comparison to use? Why do leagues have to
I think it's because bowling traditionally is steeped in the gambling aspect of things, and men's softball is not. It's just not. In bowling, it's a tradition. It's a tradition of action and side pots and money being won in the various leagues that you bowl. And I honestly think that's where it comes from.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, look, like I love money and I love making money in bowling leagues, but I feel like this whole comparison between amateurs and pros, that kind of fits into what we're talking about with leagues. You know what I mean? Because
and I think Anthony Battaglia in the chat makes a good point as well. Like you don't pay $1,000 a person to enter a softball league.
Right.
In the bowling leagues, you are putting up that kind of money to bowl a 36-week league season. John Stevenson's comment about people for some reason equate that first place prize money with hitting millions in Powerball. No, not necessarily true. That money isn't changing anything for most people, but it is nice to be rewarded with a cash prize when you perform well for an entire league season.
See, Anthony Battaglia, softball also has a much bigger cover cost with fields and umpires, which is true. So, I mean, imagine if bowling like lineage started charging that much money for, people. You think people would want to bowl? They'd rather play softball, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, though, I feel like that's always a good argument. I love making just arguing with things that might make bowling better, or just kind of brainstorming stuff.
We're 100% pro shop environment here tonight. This is for sure. This is pro shop chatter. All right, let's give the people what they want, son.
Yes, sir. Can't wait for this one.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure, I could go first because mine is kind of a funny one. It's pretty quick. Sometimes our worst of the weeks take up another 20 minutes, but this one's easy. So there was a question asked in the USBC Bowlers Discussion Forum, okay? It was by Terry Sherrar. Congratulations, Terry. your worst of the week. It's such an honor. You should go ahead and tell all your friends and family. So the question is a thumb hole the same as a weight hole? I mean, no, it's not, because it's a thumb hole. But we had an answer from
never good when you get the holes confused.
Never good.
Honestly, it's kind of a good general rule for life too. Like, never good when you get the holes confused.
Is a thumb hole the same weight as a hole as a weight hole? Tim Buck responded.
Whoa.
The GOAT. Admin. It's a simple rule now. Okay, what? No, it's a simple rule now. But KNOW. So Tim, if you're out there, you got to get your now straight. If there is a hole, it has to be used for gripping and with the same hand. Is there a hole not used? It's considered a weight hole. Is, in all capital letters, Mike, illegal.
I knew that was coming.
Mike.
The best part of that worst of the week was that Rob read no as now. That was the best part of that.
That is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm making fun of him.
Rob thinks no is K now.
He confused me with the way, because that was the first time I saw that typo, and it confused me because I read it as no now, but whatever. Anyway,
all right,
that is a real post. I saw a post. That is a real post. I have a picture of it. Yes.
Always helping out. Always willing to help. All right. Mine is from none other than USBC Bowlers Discussion Forum. It comes from somebody named Christy Howard. Congratulations, Christy. Congratulations, Christy Howard. You've won worst of the week here on Sweep the Rack. Here's what she posts. Question, because as you know, I'm out of the loop and catching up to bowling again. That wreck has kind of messed me up. I bowled and set my average last week after missing one because of it. I'm having some pretty intense pain in my hip and currently and limping a little. For my team's sake tomorrow, would it be better for me to try and see if I can bowl, or if my hip is still angry, just pay my fees and sit it out and let them use my blind scores for tomorrow? Now, don't misunderstand. I didn't nominate this as worst of the week for anything that has to do with bowling. I nominate this for worst of the week because this person, Christy Howard, is actually coming to the dumpster fire of the USBC Bowlers Discussion Forum on Facebook and asking these people for legitimate medical advice. Christy Howard, let me address you personally. Do not ask the USBC Bowlers Discussion Forum on Facebook for medical advice. You probably don't want to ask them for bowling advice, let alone medical advice. Okay? So, worst of the week, you can't go on Bowlers Discussion Forum and ask for medical advice. All right?
I'm crying. You can't even ask them for bowling advice.
You can't ask them to critique your game. You can't ask them how to drill a ball. You can't ask them you can't even ask them if a thumb hole and a weight hole are the same thing without getting a choppy response from an aggravated administrator.
Did you get a chance to read any of the responses by chance on that post?
I did. I didn't even read it. I saw it, and I was rolling around. I was like, "Oh, that's it." I'm like, "That's mine. It's done.
Well,
competition is over." This woman just asked the USBC discussion board for medical advice. I'm like, "Come on, son."
Because I saw that post and I really wanted to respond, "Suck it up, Buttercup." But you know what?
The poor woman, it sounds like she's been in an accident or something. It sounds like she's a bit like, come on, bowling's not that serious. Sit it out, and let them do what they need to do. You get a sub, you take the blind, but I mean, you definitely don't need to be coming on here and asking these people for medical advice. I mean, God knows what kind of answers you're going to get there. But all right, Rob, that's my worst of the week. All right, final thoughts, Rob. We always get a good laugh in at some point during the show.
Worst of the week is always a good one. Just want to congratulate a friend of mine by the name of Major Tom Hess for winning the PBA 50 last night, beating Dr. Barnes, he's been pretty hot on the PBA 50 tour the last few months. But dude, Tom Hess is one of the nicest guys, if you know Tom. And he, won the Masters a while back. So he's, definitely a previous major champion. But if you ever get a chance to bowl with Tom or have a chance to watch him fry out, Tom Hess fry out is by far one of the top 5 probably best fry outs, other than maybe Chris Collins and a Joe Stillman fry out. So, congrats to Tom, Major Tom. It was a great show last night. If you didn't get to catch it on Flow, you could watch the repeat. So that's my final thought.
Another second for Chris Barnes in a major. It's rough. It's rough. Great bowling throughout the week. My final thought is, Rob, let me ask you this before I give my final thought. Rob, when we were teen junior bowlers, how hype would we have been if someone came to us and said, guys, the PBA is running a junior national championship?
Yeah, I mean, that would have been like a dream come true as like a 15-year-old. Seriously, like that would have been awesome, especially if they were going to air it on TV.
I mean, hype level would have been through the roof, right? So I want to give a shout to all the young bulls out there that bowled the PBA Junior National Championship qualifiers over the weekend. I know there was one right around the corner from me here in Howell Lanes in New Jersey at Parker Bones yearly scholarship event. So, shout to those young people doing their thing out there. I saw Jillian Martin qualified, the kid Alex Horton, whose name I've seen a lot, qualified. So, always great to see the young people getting an opportunity, especially to bowl in those kinds of environments. And I think it's a great event for the PBA to run, trying to give the young bowlers some shine. So, just wanted to give those guys a shout. I don't have the whole list of names of qualifiers and all that, but obviously, we'll see some of those names and faces later on at the TV level of that event.
Yeah, absolutely. Would have loved to bowl something, at that age too, especially how good we were to be able to compete to try to make a TV show. I feel like, definitely the group that we ran in, we definitely would have had 1 or 2 people making the show for the group that we ran. Jeff, I'll send
Rob,
that over
get
to
that
you.
done. Get that done, Rob. By the way, Jeff, people love the rosin. I've given them out to like 20 different people, and they love them. The quality on them is remarkable. I love them myself. I've been using them myself. People love them. Nico, to answer your question, I live about 25 minutes from Howell Lanes. It's probably like the second or third closest bowling alley to me in my area.
Yeah, we all got a campaign for Big Mike to do an interview with Bowling with the Fef because he's asking for you, Mike. He wants you on the show, so we got to get an in-depth interview with Big Mike for about an hour.
My God.
Hour and a half. We got to hear about the high school bowling goat stories, self-proclaimed high school bowling goat stories, and bowling. And we got to learn more about Big Mike. So you need to reach out to him and get that scheduled ASAP.
All right. I'm on that. Rob, have a great week. You know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be NFL start. NFL start.
Yeah, that's right.
Work is back. I wanted to use work. I wanted to use the start of league being the night before back to school as my excuse for bowling bad. But I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be like typical bowlers. I'm going to man up and just say, no, I bowled bad. And that's what I did. But no, where I'll be? I'll be in the bowling alley practicing at some point this weekend. My daughter is also starting her soccer career this weekend with her first soccer game ever. So I'll be there. I'll be practicing. I'll be watching some football this weekend, kicking it off tomorrow night.
Zach Wilson, baby.
Some bets in, etc. So
Dynasty.
This is like my favorite time of the year. It really is.
Yeah,
it's the time of the year.
It's the best time to be a sports fan because you go into the season thinking that your NFL team is going to be great and you have all the optimism in the world, even though we all know that, you're due to be disappointed. So
last Sunday was the final Sunday without football until the end of February 2022.
Amen.
So all good. Looking forward to it. Everybody enjoy the start of football. Enjoy the kickoff this weekend. We'll talk to you guys next week, and hopefully I'll have a better league report next week. Is what I'm hoping for. So Rob, take it easy. Everybody take it easy.
Later.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.